Hello YouTube! Today we have this thing, a Roland Cube 40 solid state guitar amplifier. I found it in a dumpster, believe it or not. And we're gonna have a go at restoring it a bit, it's quite dirty. And also I'm doing the voiceover after recording the video this time, which saves me a lot of time and effort. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. This particular one was made in the United Kingdom. It has mysterious black stains on the inside. At first I thought it might have been in a house fire, or maybe that this was fungus, but it really doesn't look or smell like fungus, and it exists underneath the thorax even where it was still glued down a bit, so that kind of rules out it being the result of a fire. So I'm stumped as to why this stuff exists. That shelf over there used to hold a reverb, which someone apparently carefully extracted. And there's also some staining underneath the thorax, as you can see. And this is some shielding foil that used to shield the reverb, and I just destroyed it. Let's check whether the fuses are the correct value. This one is 2 amps and it should be. This one is 4 amps and it should be. And then there's one more, also 4 amps as it should be. And the speaker is close enough to 8 ohms. And with that, I think I feel confident enough that this thing is not going to self-destruct when we try and power it on. So let's see what it does. And what do you know, it just works. So if we had like taken this from the dumpster and just started playing, it'd work for us. I still can't play guitar though. So it's time to try and clean this thing a bit. I'm using window cleaner. No particular endorsement for this brand, it probably works just the same like anything else. And it does seem to take some of the dirt off. Also, I had a good night of sleep and I just realized that maybe that black staining inside the cabinet is intentional. Maybe they painted it black because it is covering the area that would be visible through the hole from which the cable comes usually. So that is the only thing so far I thought that really makes sense. And I took the thorax off from that back panel because it was basically falling off. I'm gonna let it soak in the window cleaner for a while and see what that does. Also seeing what the window cleaner does to the metal part, and it does something but not really much. Alcohol does a little better, but still I don't have the patience to be scrubbing this all day, so I'm gonna be trying steel wool. Also, I'll be taking the whole thing apart because I want to clean it actually properly. That's a whole bunch of work. It's a whole lot of connectors to take off. We have to take some zip ties off. We have to desolder the fuse holder, which comes in from the outside only. And I'm glad that we took this apart, because as you can see the board is absolutely filthy. It's just dust from being old, and the LED is also a bit of a fiddle to remove, but eventually I succeed. We also have to remove the transistors that are mounted on the board. They're insulated with little insulating washers and a small plastic sheet behind them. So here it is, all dirty, and now it's clean. I scrubbed it lightly with some steel wool, which is not something I would do to someone else's amplifier, but this is mine and I don't care. It gets a little bit scratched, it gets clean, and it gets clean really fast. And to clean the board I'm just using some alcohol, which apparently works a treat. And we're gonna clean the potentiometers with the tuner 600, which is a contact cleaner that is suitable for potentiometers. You cannot use just any contact cleaner because some of them will just dissolve the carbon track in them. And already we're ready to put it back together. In reality this took a long time, but thanks to the magic of video editing, we're already here. So now I'm removing the old solder from the fuse holder with some desoldering braid so that we can solder it back properly. And I don't know which way around it was originally wired, but I'm gonna wire it so that the side of the mains coming in goes to the terminal that is recessed in the fuse holder, the deepest, so there is a little bit less risk of you shocking yourself when there is no fuse in there and you were to poke your finger in there. Never a smart idea, but anyway. We choose the safe option. I'm also gonna replace the mains cord because someone put a 2-prong plug on there and it's supposed to have a 3-prong plug, and I want a proper molded on plug which comes on a wire already. And when I'm doing this, I'm going to leave the ground wire a little bit longer than the live and neutral, so that in case the strain relief were to fail, which kind of seems unlikely since it's a rather proper strain relief. However, we leave the ground a little bit longer, so if someone were to manage to pull the cord out, then the ground will stay connected while the live and neutral are already loose, in which case hopefully the ground fault interrupter will cut the power before anything bad happens. Also, I couldn't resist the temptation to take the LED out of the holder, and that was apparently a bad idea. It's me being stupid and curious at the same time. I just tapped it out with a center punch, thinking it'd be a standard LED, but it's not. Here's what it looks like with the standard LED, and I'm not happy with that. It looks too small, and that's what I did to the original one. And here I've sandpapered it a bit to look normal again. I'm adding some hot glue to protect that LED from vibrations, because its legs are the only thing holding that small PCB in place. Ideally I'd use some other glue, but I'm not patient enough to wait for them to dry, and I think this will do just fine in this case. And tada! We're all done with this part, unless it decides to be trouble later. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. So yeah, the sandpaper kinda screwed up the LED, but I don't think I mind it. And I suppose now all that's left is clean this cabinet a bit more and glue some of the Tolex back in place. Maybe figure out what to do with the reverb, although I don't personally care for reverb, so maybe I'll just leave it for what it is. I kind of expected that this would be a repair video, but apparently we're just washing an amplifier, cause it seems to work just fine. I could go and replace the capacitors and stuff like many people like to do, but this thing doesn't make any much noise at all. I believe if the filter capacitors would be gone, then there'd be a whole lot more noise coming from this thing. Even if I turn up the gain, it was very quiet. Over here I tried to clean some of the Tolex with window cleaner. It didn't do all that well. Then this spot I did with isopropyl alcohol. It did a noticeably better job. And then I also tried a cheaper alcohol, which did the same thing. So we'll try the cheaper alcohol. I did check out the piece of Tolex I left soaking in window cleaner, which apparently made no difference at all. So I went like scrub for a few hours, and it did pay off. I wouldn't say it looks like new, but at least I can touch it now without feeling dirty. So this is the part where absolutely everything starts going wrong. I'm trying to glue back the toe legs where it came loose. And I got glue everywhere, which I had to clean. I should have done this before cleaning, and for whatever reason the glue didn't want to stick everywhere this time around. I have no idea if I'm just not using enough glue, or if I'm not letting it dry long enough, or am I letting it dry too long before I put it together. It's a contact adhesive, so you have to dry it before you put it together. Also, I managed to tear the toe legs, trying to stretch it over this panel the way it was. So now we're gonna use my tried and tested method for the important visible parts. We're gonna use some B7000 glue, which is something you can buy on AliExpress. And then we're just gonna stick it down with painter's tape overnight. That's something I've done a few times before, and it's always worked a treat. For now, I'm only gonna worry about the parts that are exposed to the outside when the amplifier is put together, and call it good enough, because I'm tired of trying to make that spray adhesive work, and I feel like if I keep trying, I'm just gonna make it worse, but I might try it again some other day. And just like that, it is some other day. The B7000 worked out alright. I cannot scratch it off with my fingers, and in one spot it wasn't stuck down all the way, but once I pressed it, I couldn't get it back off, so I guess that's good too now. And I tried the spray glue again already, and this time it went much better. I used several layers, letting them dry in between, and then I think the issue was that I didn't use enough of it before, and the chipboard just drinks this stuff. The hot glue on my LED, on the other hand, it just fell off, so I'm now using some non-acidic RTV silicone. Never use the acidic one that smells like vinegar, because that will eat electronics and metal. I also use this brake cleaner for getting rid of some of the spray glue residue. I don't know if that's safe, but it worked for me. And now we are going to try to bypass the reverb, connecting its output to the reverb input. So instead of reverb, when we turn up the reverb knob, we're gonna get extra gain, so that we don't have a useless knob on the thing. I don't feel like buying a reverb for this. And as you will see, now when we turn up the reverb, we get stupid amounts of gain. I did have a look on the schematic before doing this, just to make sure that we're not gonna fry anything. I don't think we will. I quite like that, so now let's try the overdrive channel. I quite like that, so let's make that permanent. I made a small cable from some crap I found laying around, and all that's left for us now is putting this thing together and taking it for a spin, I think. And I painted the logo blue, because the best thing I found is blue nail polish. Not the best color, but oh well. This is how it looks now. A lot better than when we started. Let's see how it sounds. Right now the volume is at 10, the master volume is at a quarter of the way open, and the reverb is at 0, and this is like the overdrive channel. And now I'm gonna turn up that reverb to about 1. Oops. Like this. And cranking it up anymore doesn't really do anything much. It does when you turn the volume down or you're on the normal channel. Goodbye and thank you very much for watching.